restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I support Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor.
I think we should be live now.
That's how it should be
Let me
run.
work on
That's
getting
how
this
it's run. And if I'm elected, I'm going to
set here. We're just about there.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as
There we
we
go.
say, rip the baby
Okay.
out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true.
Okay,
The
we can
Roe v.
still
Wade
see
does
that.
not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only a woman's life is in danger. She's
Okay.
going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number.
Is that window big enough for you guys? Does it need to be bigger, smaller?
Border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now.
All right. Bear with me. Let me get my headphones in. Let me get the game started. Let me get in chat. Bear with me, guys. Thank you.
Endorsed my position. In addition to that,
What are your thoughts so far?
Situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
Okay.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history.
I'm bringing
Now
up a
we have the
window
worst border in
for
history. There's never been anything like it. And people are
bringing up a
dying all
window
over
as
the
well
place,
for me to
including the
watch
people that are
directly
coming up
because I
in
can't.
President Trump. President Biden?
Otherwise, I've got it
Done anything across the border.
minimized.
It's
So
going to
bear
kill
with me
one,
here.
kill
Can you stream that window in Discord so I can hear it?
Administration. Kill
Since
3
I'm running just my
American
laptop?
soldiers.
I
Kill 3
can
American soldiers.
try, but
That's the only
I've already
terrorist that's there. I'm
running
not
late
saying
with
the
everything
terrorists
else.
Ever got through, but the idea
That one's
we're
easy.
emptying their prisons, we're
Walk
welcoming.
me
Do what you need to do.
It's simply not true. There's no
Sharing that
data to
screen is
support
easy.
What he said. Once again,
but-
he's exaggerating.
Do your thing first.
President
History.
Trump,
Let's
staying on the
go.
topic of
That really
immigration,
quick.
You've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in
mute
American
that one.
history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every
Bring
undocumented
this over
immigrant
here.
in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world.
All right, how do I do
Had a
it?
Huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed
So
people
go
with the
down
bad
to
border,
share
including
screen,
hundreds of
Got it.
thousands of people
and then
dying.
you just choose
And
the
also
screen you want to
killing
share.
Our citizens when they come in.
Yep.
We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border.
Yeah.
And
The
because of his
Discord side of things is
ridiculous,
easy.
Yep.
insane, and very stupid
I'm just in
policies,
panic mode to try to get
people
this
are
going,
coming
so
in
bear with
and
me,
they're
guys.
killing our citizens.
Hi,
at a
how you
level
doing?
we've
My
never
meeting
seen.
ran
We call it
late,
migrant
so-
crime. I call it Biden migrant crime.
How's it going,
They're
eh?
killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before, and you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls.
Perfect.
over the
Now I
last
have a
few
preview
days.
as well. Awesome. Okay,
One of them, I
so
just spoke to the mother.
Look at that.
And they just had the funeral. for
Why
this
can't I-
girl,
there-
12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's
What is
taken
he
place in our
mumbling about?
country,
The hell?
We're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living.
He's not happy.
They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are
He's so
on the street. They're
unhappy
dying because he
CNN
doesn't
cut
care
his,
about our
video
veterans. He
feed.
doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved, choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in.
President
and it's
Biden.
a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And he opposed, his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans.
All right.
My son spent a year
think I got it all figured out here.
living right next to one of those burn pits, came
Looks
back
good.
with stage 4
Looks good
glioblastoma. I was
You guys can
recently
still see?
in
You
France
guys can still
for
see?
D-Day.
Oh,
And I
why am I back feeding? Why am I back
I
feeding?
went to the
Why am I
World War
back
II
feeding?
cemetery,
Why am I back
World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me,
that
he
was
said, I
me.
don't want to
Sorry.
go in there because they're a bunch of
me
losers and
fix.
suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the
Not
loser.
my fault.
President Trump.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
First
I
of all,
didn't know
those
you
who
had
made
joined
up,
in.
quote,
Gotcha.
Suckers and losers. They made it up. It
My
was in a
fault, my
third-rate
fault.
magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery
we should
or
be
I'm
now.
talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up.
Host.
And he brought it up.
Continue.
There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I
Start
have.
server. Farmer Kurt, are you going to jump in and play, or are you just here to chat?
Generals and others say
Just here to
suckers
chat.
and
Okay.
losers. We have 19 people
Yeah.
that said it was never said by
I'm
me. It
on
was
my
made
own,
up by
so
him, just like Russia
chatting
was
as
made
well.
up, just like
Okay.
the 51 intelligence agents are made up. Just like the new thing with the 16 economists
All
are
right.
talking.
Well, we're
the same
live.
thing.
Let's see how
51
this goes.
intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia
European.
disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son Hunter. It wasn't Russian disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
Bush Guard General Sanders Stein was on your staff. You said you said it. Period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. American history. And they now are their family. The only sacred obligation we have in the country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they
This
go
is
to war.
already a shit show.
That's what
It
we're
is.
doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to
Forgot
begin
how
with
much brain
Russia's
power I
war
have to use to
against
actually
Ukraine,
understand.
which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They
How's
can't
the
stand
audio
him.
coming over
They
the
think
stream
he's
of
worst
the
commander-in-chief,
the
if
debate?
That's what you call him, that we've ever
It
had.
sounded
They can't
good.
stand him. So let's get that
Let me
straight.
just double check it
And they
again.
like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded
Please
Ukraine.
tell me that face is
A
going to be
lot
a
of people
meme
are
at some
dead
point.
right now, much more than people know. You know, they're talking about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple
Yeah.
those numbers. He did
Twitch
nothing
audio
to
is
stop it.
good
In fact,
for
I think he encouraged
debate
Russia
stream.
from going
Awesome,
in.
thank you.
I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad
All right,
with
let me get my
Afghanistan. It was such a
window back up
horrible,
so I can
embarrassing,
directly
most
watch the debate.
embarrassing moment in the history of our
We
country.
got Oki.
That when
And,
Putin watched that and
Well,
he
he's
showed
on his phone.
confidence that he
Where are
he should
you
have
at? You
fired
Cancun
those
again?
generals like they
Hey,
fired
let's
the
just
one
kinda-
that you
let's
mentioned.
I'm
hang
in a
out.
Got no
hotel.
love lost.
Let's
But
hang
he
out,
should have
let's
fired
listen.
Those generals. No general got fired.
Is
for
it the
most
Holiday Inn?
embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, "You know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take my." This was his dream. I talked to him about it. His dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like
Let me get my
Israel would
bearings
have
on what's
never
happening in
been
the
invaded
game.
in a million years by Hamas.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look,
Oh.
the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation
Ooh,
where
that
let's
was a
take the
big
last
word.
point first.
Malarkey.
Man
I haven't heard that in a
attacked
while.
American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. We didn't do a thing when the attack took place. Number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember?
What'd he say,
was
Joe?
part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish. Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
as
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine?
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President
know,
Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as
Already.
we have. That's why we're strong.
He won't
Thank
go
you.
after
Moving on
NATO
to the Middle
country
East.
Right.
because that'd be
In
stupid.
October,
Right.
Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those
think I just
held
had my
and
first
thought to
derailment.
still be alive are 5 Americans.
Yep.
Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to
Oh,
end
wait, what am I missing?
conflict?
What am I missing?
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security
He's had some good
Security
good
Council,
facial
straight
expressions
from the
lately.
G7 to the Israelis
The
and
memes are
everyone
gonna be
else that
phenomenal
endorsed
tomorrow.
the plan I put
Oh,
forward.
I right.
The plan I put forward. Which has
Just
3 stages.
tomorrow,
The first stage
get in
is
Discord
trade
and
the
type in Biden.
hostages
You'll see a bunch.
for
Oh, yeah.
a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's
I really wish I had a second monitor right now.
The only thing I've denied
That's all I-
Israel
I gotta
was
say about that.
2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran that a full-blown attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just
No one was hurt, but
we
one
saved
person was
Israel.
killed.
We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world.
Logic.
And so they're 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got to put up hundreds of millions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to. He said the only one who wants to be done is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian. But they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. Are you going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we were able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe.
What now?
What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue?
Oh,
to
he's
go
dropping
into
gifs
NATO?
and
We have
memes.
an Article 5
Oh.
agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. You see what happens then.
That's a good one,
He has
Okie.
no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe
What is
has ever
that?
been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, Would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia? At a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, like they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up to the Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, he talked.
Wait.
Hang on.
He sat on his ass?
Patrons of America.
Yeah.
In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. He went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He didn't do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out, and now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that there could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
You think it's coming
What
soon
they've
that
done
he's
to
going to
some people
say
that
that
are
Trump
so
should be in
innocent.
jail?
You ought to be ashamed
Maybe.
of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people.
Look at
When
that
they
face.
I think we're not
ripped down
playing drinking
Portland, when they
games
ripped
tonight
down,
with this.
Many other cities. You go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of the, they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that, they saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
Yes.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon, this man.
There it is.
And the fact of the matter is, he is not.
Son of a
Biden.
Biden.
Simply not true.
Son of a Biden.
Cross it off your bingo boards, boys.
On his part, to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill, and all those people, every one of those who were
Foursquare.
convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody.
Damn near got a
just because
bingo
they broke
already.
down
This shit's
doors,
ridiculous.
broke the windows,
I'm
turned
drunk.
offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots? Come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boy? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing to
And stand down.
denounce these guys, we denounce the people we're talking about now, we denounce the people who attacked that Capitol. What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation.
Millie,
My
are you listening?
retribution's
Can I
going
get
to
a
be
napkin,
success.
please?
But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted.
Hey, give me another beer, bitch.
Numerous other times.
Yeah,
Should
that
have been
too.
Convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with his son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, coming right to you, sir, you want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea.
Oh, there it is. There's the unfairness right there.
Wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with. And think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you
Whoop
talking
de
about?
freaking do.
You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
He
I
did
didn't have
what
sex with
any
a
rich
porn
person
star,
would do.
Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking
So it's a crime to get
DA
pussy now, I
to the
guess?
Manhattan DA's office to start that
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
That case is going to be
It's always that time.
We
That
had
one
a
now.
very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent.
Okay,
because
you're
he
having
thought it was
way
gonna
too much
damage
fun
me.
with those
But when the
snap
public
filters.
found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does. He has no
Yeah,
idea
it's
what
just
these
making
cases are.
perfect fucking
When
meme
they
templates for
found out about
labors.
these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you
Joe
have
just
said,
looks
quote,
lost.
Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions
I
of
love how they
Americans who
keep
are likely to
using
vote
that
for
term.
President Trump will be
Like,
voting
really?
against
Mm-hmm.
American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes, the more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard
crap, we got an
president say
ad break coming up.
that I'm going to seek retribution? You ever hear any presidents say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq.
Well, son of a-
Iraq, I said I wouldn't.
Your son didn't die in Iraq.
So I saw what happened in Charlottesville.
Quit
Virginia.
lying.
People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic file they sang.
Where this happened?
Back in Germany.
What?
And the young woman got killed. I spoke
What?
to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people?"
I think
The
it would
people
need
who- the
something
ones who got
stronger than
killed, the one
beer.
who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, "I think they're fine people on both sides." What American president? would ever
Tennessee
say
it is. Okay.
Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic file, carrying swastikas. This is the guy who said Hitler's done some bad things.
Damn it.
I'd like to know what they are. Good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no
What, they
sense,
they
man.
shut down your stream?
No, I just screwed up
Jake,
majorly.
both of you know that story has been
Okay.
wiped out because when you see the sentence, it says. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't
Oh,
run
did you
because of
derail your train?
Yeah, I was trying
his
to
last
dust
chance.
drop, and well,
He's not
that didn't
equipped
work
to
out
be
too well.
president. You know it, and I know
Well,
it. It's ridiculous.
I was
We
at
have
the
a debate.
driver's seat,
We're trying
or
to
the
justify
engineer
his
seat,
presidency.
and going
His
around a
presidency
left-hand
is
curve,
without
and
question,
binned
worst
all the
president,
cars that were
worst
sitting on the track.
presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every anchor has, every reasonable anchor has debunked it.
that one right there.
And just
The-
the other day it came out.
where's he
where it was
looking?
Fully debunked. It's a
Yeah.
nonsense story. He knows that.
hell is he
and
looking
didn't
at?
run because of Charlottesville. He
Friggin'
used that
left
as an
field
excuse
over
to
there.
run.
Like, who's over there? Barry Bonds?
President
Debunked.
No dose.
What
I
happened.
blame Biden for
All you
that
have to do
derailment.
is listen to what was said at the time.
Yeah.
And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like
Who-
this guy
who-
could get elected.
uh,
If he
who's he
thought
looking at?
They were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top
Hey, Joe,
cabinet
finish
officers
a sentence.
refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
Okay, so how long is this break gonna be? And yes,
I don't know.
I'm watching it on Daily Wire. So
want to be the world's greatest media
because
company.
why not?
This company represents a whole new
Yeah.
generation. We're building
Well,
alternatives.
I mean,
and the
at least we won't
alternatives
get
are working. Americans have
targeted
enormous
commercials.
Economic might. They
Right.
just don't have
Well,
any
I mean-
alternatives, and we're gonna give them
I mean, I
It's
take that
going
back
to
because
change
they have their
everything.
view.
And buy
but
my new
whatever.
razor instead. They'll like what we make more. They'll trust what we make
Alright,
more.
so I'll turn
We'll
that
hit the target
down a little bit.
every single time. Let's make a movie. We are just getting started. We decided to spend $100 million.
I'll turn it
making
back
kids
up when we go back live here.
Ugh.
So what are your thoughts
We're
so
going
far?
to knock it out of the park, and
Two
no
words.
one else is going to.
Shit show?
Train wreck.
Oh, either was acceptable, I suppose.
Oh, that's what happened on stream. Oh, as far as the debate goes, about as expected.
Yeah.
Train wreck on the stream, though. Literally.
We can't call
Quite
it a shit
literally.
show. We can't call it a shit show because it doesn't look like Normandy. So
I'm the only one who sees these things.
Yeah, but Biden probably shit himself getting on stage. You see him doing the shuffle walk?
Mhm.
There because of neglect.
He's doing the poo-poo slide getting up there.
Yeah, sorry for being a little bit
Uh-oh.
late. My meeting ran over this evening, and I didn't have this set up. I should have set this up last night, and I completely forgot. So sorry about being late, guys.
So that explains his facial expressions.
Yeah.
he's proofing.
That would.
You can't just
He's
look
like
away.
he's like a fucking a
state
toddler.
ain't
You
no
know when a
family.
toddler is shitting themselves?
sure
It's
these
the exact
people
same
are
facial
us?
expression.
I know they
You know.
You call me mama. Oh, Lord.
If we can't wrap our arms around the most vulnerable, then what do we have?
Sorry, I got one screen, so sounds are delayed.
You do what you can do. I tried to advertise this in the Railroader Discord. And they took it down.
What's happening with Possum Trot could mean a
Oh, of
huge
course they did.
change to the
Uh-huh.
system.
We want the ones that nobody else wants.
Who hurt you, baby? I'm not giving up on you. You can't give up
I
on
mean,
me
do
either.
you blame him though?
No.
In reality, I mean, like,
Everybody's falling
oh.
apart.
No, I 100% get it.
The real world's inside. I don't want to be here.
Damn it.
Why is my headlight not working?
I can't give him back. We gotta work on this together.
Fucking Biden.
Did you turn it on?
It's F, right?
And love never.
I thought it was
gives up.
Alt F4.
Yeah, you shut your face.
J. J as in just turn on the headlight.
Why am I hitting F? What is F?
Farm sim.
Is that Farm Sim?
Yep.
That's son of a bitch.
All right, now if I could just get these cars Dutch dropped, that'd be great.
And we're back.
No, we'll be right back.
Yeah. No, that's actually probably not wrong. He is probably focusing on his cue cards.
Welcome back
Right.
to the CNN presidential debate
Oh,
live
we're back.
from Georgia. Let's talk about the specific challenges you both faced in your first terms and you'd certainly face again in a second term. President Biden, while black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black
Oh,
families
here we go.
still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes.
His face.
And black
I'm sorry.
Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans.
And remember,
What
if
do
you
say to
don't
black
vote for me,
voters
you're
who
not
are
black.
disappointed
Right.
that you haven't made more
I mean,
progress?
They acknowledge
He-
they made a lot
he
of
said it.
progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there's more small black businesses that have been started
Oh,
for
let
any
me turn
time in
it
history.
back up here.
Number two, the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we're providing housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the
Oh, my goodness.
impact on the
Spit it out, Joe.
Oh,
black
he
families
lost
have to
it.
make relative to child
This is
care
just sad.
incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation,
You're
we passed,
seeing it.
I was able to reduce
The world's
black
seen it, and they've
child
had
care
seen it for the
costs.
last 2
I
years.
cut them in half. In half. We got to make sure we provide for child care costs. We got to make sure because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
Get
I
over it.
don't blame them for being disappointed.
I'm
Inflation
kidding.
is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those black families and those black individuals who had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, anything having to do with volunteerism.
Did he
If
say
they paid their
baloney?
bills for 10
Yes.
years,
He did say baloney.
their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing.
I've watched
people.
all that I
They
could
can't
stand. Well, join in
buy
and watch with
groceries
us.
anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food, where it's doubled, and tripled, and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you, President Biden.
I've never heard of a black job or
Wars no
a
inflation.
Hispanic job. I've heard of
When I became
jobs.
president, you know why? The economy was flat on its back.
Yeah, but
50%
the
unemployment.
CNN
He
people kind
decimated
of brought
the
that up.
economy.
I know,
So
and I get the
It sucks.
stereotype
That's why
of,
there's no
you know, typically
There were no
Mexicans
jobs.
work construction and all this. I
Provided
get all
thousands of
that,
jobs
but
for individuals
realistically,
who were involved communities,
there are
including minority
jobs.
communities. We made sure
Hey,
that
hey,
we
hey,
had
hey, hey.
We have
Not all
the
construction
PCA has
workers.
increased-
I
made
didn't
sure
say
that
all.
$8,000 per person in a family.
It just
get
never
written
mind.
off
I'm not
for
going to say
healthcare.
that.
But this guy wants to eliminate that. They're
I
trying
mean,
50
I know where they're
times. He
working
wants to
on
get
my
rid of the
job
ACA
site, but I'm
again.
not going
And
to
they're
explain
gonna
that
try
here.
again if they win. You find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing it.
I might be the only white guy on my crew, but not all
He
Mexicans.
wants to cut the cops. We're providing for
Oh,
equity and making sure people have a shot
Just
to make it. There's a
never
lot
mind,
going
I'm not
on.
gonna say that either.
But inflation, he caused
Yeah,
it
I could say
by
something here too, but I'm not
Nope.
going to.
tremendous
Nope, not worth it.
I'm biting my tongue.
Leave it
some
out.
way handle the pandemic.
Thank you.
I'm biting
Another
my tongue.
persistent challenge is the climate crisis.
It's just a stereotype.
2023
That's all.
was
That's
the hottest year in recorded
not the best one,
history,
but-
and communities across
I'm
the country
I'm
are
just
confronting
fishing.
the
That's all I'm doing,
devastating
fishing.
effects of
Looks like
extreme
an
heat,
adult.
intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that.
What?
Super predators was his name. And he called it to them for 10, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and universities,
They really need to
where I
keep
funded
it
them and got them all
side by
funded,
side and not
the
take his video away.
opportunity
I'm
zones
sorry.
with
Yes.
Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea. It was a great idea. It's one of the most successful
he's awake.
economic development acts ever in
Damn
the
it.
country.
Missed it again.
Opportunity zones.
Oh, he's picking his
And the
nose.
biggest beneficiary are blacks, and that's why we have the best numbers with them in
He's holding onto
maybe
that
ever.
podium
They're
for
saying
dear
ever. I
life.
read this morning wherever the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job
he's
for
having a
black people.
bout of
He's also
vertigo.
done a horrible job for Hispanic. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet,
Missed it again.
during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever.
Aha.
And my top environmental people gave
Break.
me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
Got it.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea.
We're wondering where you are
the idea
too.
He said it's true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. In history, we find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $50 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just don't have the money. But now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water, he hadn't done a damn thing for the environment.
I'm going to say something controversial here, and I acknowledge that, and you can disagree with me if you want. That's fine. I'm a believer that everybody's got a fair opportunity. It's just how you make it and what you do to achieve it. That's just me.
And he didn't do a damn thing about it.
We all have different upbringings. We all, and I acknowledge that 100%. We do. Some of us are just born into it, and some of us have to fight for it. We've all got an equal opportunity. You just have to want to do it, and you just have to get off your ass and do it.
Because I didn't want to waste that money.
So I can say for my personal experience, my family never put me through college. I just woke up one day and said, I can't do what I'm doing right now. And
I took care of the seniors. What he's
I said,
destroying all
well,
of our
let's go do this, right? And I went to them, and
they want everybody. And look,
they set me up.
I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people, but we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals.
Does it suck?
They're going to be taking over Social Security.
Is it expensive?
He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
It doesn't matter what you do. If you go to college, you go get a job, anything like that. It's all on you, really. It's you gotta be willing to put in the effort for whatever you want to do.
How can we do anything if we're not able to? The United States can't get its pollution under control. One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people will learn how to deal with climate, just like the Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
bullshit. That's
so every
fucking
day,
bullshit.
millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline.
Calm down
President
over there.
Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits
Sorry,
cut
I'll get off
in
my
just
diabetic
over 10
soapbox.
years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share.
There it is. Fair
Right
share
now,
of drink.
Everybody
All
making
right,
under
what about him?
$100,000 pays
What about him?
6%
Yep.
I want to
of their
see
income
his
of their paycheck
contribution.
every single time they get a paycheck from the time of the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're gonna, I've been proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1%
Drink
beyond
again.
to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent. But the biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare, both times. And that's what. And if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican Caucus that he, I believe, supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where we talk about education for black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He could look you in the face.
I love how the Border Patrol Union has already come out and claimed that we have never and will never endorse Joe Biden. That was bullshit.
It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it. Because millions of people
I hope that message gets out
and they're putting them onto Social Security,
to everybody,
they're putting
you know.
them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden.
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 no...
Uh-oh. Buffering. Setting PC to high priority on the network.
You
jackass! How dare you!
Come from?
Uh-oh.
The derriere.
Hang on. Vixen.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Vixen.
Cheap. What can I say?
The question that's on everyone's minds.
Nobel laureates.
There we go.
Oh, hey, we're back.
15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession, and inflation is going to increase. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue. But the average cost of child care in this country has risen more than $11,000 a year per child for many families. The cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show.
Hang on, I'm gonna stop that stream.
I'm
going to relaunch it here in just a
Did
second.
you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody?
I'm reducing the quality
border
so it stops
that's
doing
allowed
that.
us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world.
No, we're not.
The United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We're the finest military in the history of the world. The finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up. Go online. 159 or 58, don't hold the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history, one through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history.
Reduce the quality again.
That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care, he did virtually nothing to child care.
Well, crap. Now my train's out of coal.
We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst. Because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you. And they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff, he will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000.
He will or has? Which one is it?
Tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that we're importing. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class. The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You have the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden.
You lost
Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, We now have the largest deficit in the history of our country.
He needs to stop doing this. Going back to the other points.
China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China.
Okay,
China's
shut up and answer the question now.
Allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country.
That's his biggest downfall.
Killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough, and it was the drugs pouring across the border it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low because they
what numbers?
Gotaways. They don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms
The problem is
precursors from fentanyl, and Mexico is working with
what
us
else
to
is
make
on
sure
that bill?
We don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy. And he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take office, I said by literally as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago. But Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the
At least he can finish the
what
sentence.
I've done. Look, I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented.
Did he just say we bought off a whole lot of people?
Because he was sending people.
He's going off of his cards, and he's stumbling through it.
I went to South Korea.
You can hear it.
Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States, and guess what? Those fabs they call that to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them, and there's billions. About $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow
yeah, I would. He's an
we
asshole.
are this failing country. Never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world.
Hey, Joe, you said this already.
Major country president wouldn't trade places with the United States of America. For all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done.
At this point, I don't know whether to laugh,
we're a country
cry,
in the world who keeps our word,
or vomit.
and everybody trusts us.
Drink. You've been crying the last 2 years? I mean, I have.
Those who calls up from Kim Jong-un,
that's beside the
to Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
I won't watch him talk because of this.
You would be 82
because it's just it's painful.
What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it.
Are these bros really arguing over fucking golf right now?
Exams every
I
year.
don't know if your stream's caught up to it, but oh my god.
Knock on wood, wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior.
I'm there now.
Club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway, just take a look at what he says he is. Take a look at what he is.
What?
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving.
I like how he tried to make a point and just gave up on it.
Which, when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
Oh, you're handicapped, all right.
But I have, you know how many?
We're still arguing over golf.
Jesus Christ.
President Trump, we're going to turn.
Let's not act like children.
This has wound up in a sand trap.
Specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
There we go.
You want a World
Jackass!
War III. Let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all, and required response. The idea,
and the doggies are here.
I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful peace. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead
Get out of
and
my
take
office.
Kyiv.
Get out of my
Make
office.
sure
Go.
they move
No.
on, see what happens in Poland,
Go away.
Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a
Get-
war.
How dare you?
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace
Wasn't this supposed to be
else,
90
in a
minutes?
nice location someplace. And again,
With 2 commercial breaks?
no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But
I don't know. Was it?
it's
There's
driven
only
up
been
my
one,
numbers and
I think,
driven up
that I
to a
remember.
very high level. Because the people
Yeah,
understand.
one commercial.
Let's see what your numbers
It's
are
going to
when this
commercial
election
here.
is
Just
over.
if you, my
Let's see.
stream that I'm
You're
watching is a little
whiner.
bit further ahead of
You
yours.
lost the first
Gotcha.
time. You continued. You appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
I mean, I'm not complaining that it's a little bit longer than the hour and a half, but it's one of those, like, I don't know.
Hey, I'm Jeremy Boring, CEO of Daily Wire and founder of Jeremy's Razors. Woke razor companies love to take your money while trampling on your values. Me?
It's like a train
I
wreck.
just love your
You
money.
just can't not watch it.
All together, it's a train wreck. It's not even just, you know who, but damn.
What the hell is this?
It's like Scrabble playing Railroader. It's a train wreck.
Oh, kiss my ass.
How dare you?
Right?
Hey, nobody calls cut on my set but me.
What, do you run Hollywood now?
Two on the nose.
What is this?
We're filming the commercial for the brand new second generation Jeremy's Razor.
Yeah, I get it. We moved our manufacturing out of China. Plus, with the new Sprint 3 and Precision 5 blades, you can shave like a man, not a manifesto. But who's he?
I'm Black Jeremy, huge fan. You mind if we get a selfie?
Oh, yeah, come on.
Look, we talked about this. Customers want diversity.
We talked about this, but I hate when everything goes race. Like, really?
Yeah.
And
Come
for
on.
the commercials to be
Yep.
less
We're all.
lose the flamethrower.
Let's say in this aspect, we're all North Americans.
Who are you?
I'm Jessica.
You know,
I've been following you on Half Naked
what does
for
it
2
matter?
years.
Oh, but that makes you some kind of expert on advertising? Besides, don't you think it's a little insulting to black people?
Oh, we prefer people of color.
Don't you think it's a little insulting to black people of color that instead of giving them their own roles to play, you just recast them as a beloved white character?
Hell yeah, it is.
We don't do it for people of color. We do it for liberal white women. I'll spell it out for you. Liberal white women make most of the purchasing decisions for the family, so happy commercials with people of color smiling at each other make them feel hella virtuous.
Bitches love to feel virtuous.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's no white people in commercials anymore?
I don't know what I'm listening to.
But that's so...
No, either.
This is hilarious.
Body positivity higher. You are so brave.
What is even happening right now?
This is better than the actual debate.
Jeremy's shampoo and conditioner.
And that's
They
sad.
are excellent products.
Hey, what if
Daily Wire.
I play your character
Jesus.
a little less bitchy?
Unbelievable. Jeremy's Razors isn't for liberal white women. It's for men. Conservative men. So stop giving your money to woke corporations who hate you. Give it to me instead.
Wow.
Hey, liberal white ladies. You know what's up.
Go to jeremysrazors.com now and buy the new radically redesigned second-gen razors featuring sharper, longer-lasting blades and superior
That was
durability.
phenomenal.
Now in more inclusive 3 and 5 blade models.
That just played off of like every stereotype ever. That was great.
It did. I was hearing it in the background and I wasn't even watching it. I'm like, what?
It is now time for the candidates to deliver their closing statements
Uh-oh.
as
Uh-oh.
predetermined by
All right, here we go.
a coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President.
This shit fires back.
Biden.
I'm gonna request everybody just hush through this. Let's hear the whole thing in its entirety,
We've made
please.
significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes and will not, and if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit, number one. He's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what?
Sorry.
We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along where it's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits that people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
Oh, boy.
All right. We've just watched what may end up being.
I have no comments.
I'm going to leave this up. Let's watch this for a little bit. See what these guys have to say. I like their opinion.
We were all joking earlier about how Biden's doctors administer narcotics to him. I now believe they practice necromancy. That was the closest to a dead person I have ever seen on TV.
Trump said that, Biden has never fired anybody. His doctor might be the first, or is working for Kamala Harris and hit him with the Valium right beforehand.
I don't understand the exact way this works, but isn't his doctor his wife? I don't.
He's a great surgeon.
The Biden team actually put out 2 unnamed sources. Their excuse was he had a cold.
He had a cold.
In the middle of the debate, they literally started tweeting out that he had a cold. I think what they meant is his body has a certain temperature. Because there is no okay, let's be clear about this. There is no substantive takeaway from this debate. None.
Wait a minute. What about you buy the 6 handicap? Come on.
Yeah, the golf.
Come on.
There was Trump talking about how we have H2O, which is exciting. There was almost no substance that came out of this debate. I'd get rid of the almost. There's just none. I mean, like, nobody came out more informed and intelligent about the issues. There's only one thing they came out with, which is one of these candidates is an alive person, and one of these candidates has been dead for months.
Well, wait.
It raises every single question. I mean, again, when I say that, I don't mean that Biden, that Trump didn't clock him on actual issues. I mean, he did. Trump clocked the living crap out of him on immigration. That was really the big one. He just kept punching him. Yep. He clocked him on the Middle East, punched him. He
on entitlements even?
On entitlements.
Yep.
But debates are moments, right? That's what they are. 4 years on, you don't remember the whole debate. You remember the policy. You remember the moments. You remember Mitt Romney being told by...
All right, y'all. I'm off to bed. We'll catch you on the next one.
Sounds good. See you later, bud.
Donald Trump saying in 2016 to Hillary Clinton that if I were president, you'd be in jail. Or you remember Biden in 2020 saying to Trump that he should shut up. In this one, the only takeaways, the only moments are Trump saying, one, I have no idea what the hell you just said at the end of that sentence. Right? That was a huge one.
And I don't think you do either.
Yes, and I don't him mocking the 6 handicap by saying he can't hit the ball 50 yards. Right? It's all
the zingers were pretty good, even when Biden said, I beat Medicare. He said, yeah, you beat it to death.
Yes,
even less than the zingers. It's Biden. The debate was over really from the moment he walked out, wandering out, slack-jawed, just the way he presented himself. The debate was already over. Look, 10 minutes in, when he tried to give an answer,
I got to rewatch that part of it
and
because
couldn't
I didn't
even
watch it
string
from the
together a
beginning.
sentence.
So.
What Biden needed to do was avoid a moment like that because, as you said, it's really all about moments. There's going to be like one viral moment to come out of this. That's going to be the moment when he trails off and can't finish a sentence. And the ironic thing is that it was a little bit of the reverse of what we said, where actually we thought that Biden would come out juiced up on drugs and then he would trail off at the end. He actually improved a little bit in the final 30 minutes. A little bit. He was still terrible.
I agree with you.
But it doesn't matter because by that point, it was over.
I have a neuroscientist friend, a brain surgeon, who was texting me during the debate, and he said they probably hit him too close to time. Right? They probably shot him up too close to time. Like he needed a little lead time. And so what ended up happening is you saw it. He trailed off at the end also. His closing statement, he was dead again.
Yeah.
But he had like a 35-minute lucid period, which happens in stage 3, stage 4 dementia. But again, the takeaway from this is that this man is not fit to be president. And you can see it from it's not us saying it.
Yeah.
It's Democrats. If you go on Twitter right now, Casey Hunt at CNN is saying, this thing is over for Biden. Nick Kristof at the New York Times. I mean, look at what Casey Hunt says. The voice, open mouth look, and visual contrast between President Biden and former President Trump all have Democrats I'm talking to nearly beside themselves watching this debate. Nick Kristof is openly calling for Joe Biden to step out of the race at this point. But here's the thing. Ain't no mechanism for getting rid of him. No. Because if he doesn't step out, those delegates have already been assigned. The primaries are over.
I have to say that, first of all, I'm not sure there was no substance. I thought when Biden said,
I'd never heard a president say,
no, it was amazing. But also, I disagree with this thing that people take away the zingers, because the press pushes that idea on us. But I think people are a lot smarter than that. There wasn't a lot of substance in this debate, but there was a lot of leveled accusations by Trump that were absolutely true. The things he said about Trump, about Biden in Afghanistan, the things he said about Biden on the border, these are true. These are true statements. And Trump, they come out in this Trumpian way, but they're absolutely true. And the fact that Biden is completely gone. And, the fact that he zoned back in a little bit, but he didn't zone back into, living level. It was kind of that moment before a guy passes away, when he has a moment.
Or the moment after. We're going to get into all the questions that this raises, and it really does. I don't think we've ever walked out of a debate. First of all, we've never seen a presidential debate that happens before the party conventions, when it's still possible to make an effort to replace one of the candidates. And it's almost impossible to imagine at this point that there isn't an effort to remove Joe Biden. Whether or not that's possible is the kind of thing that we should get into. We're going to be taking questions also from our dailywire.com members. Head over to dailywire+.com right now and become a member if you're not one. Use promo code DEBATE for 30% off. Our members make it possible for us to bring you coverage like this. This is
not
the
a
first
sponsor.
time that we've ever had to
not a sponsor.
Stream a debate. It costs an enormous amount of money. CNN, you may have noticed it wasn't like American flags behind the candidates. It was like multiple CNN logos, because this debate is so unique in our history that we just didn't have free access to it. Journalists weren't able to attend it in the room. And the result of that is basically we depend on dailywire.com members to make this possible. So if you're a member, thank you. Make some questions for us. You make it possible for us to do this. If you're not a member, head over there to dailywireplus.com. Become a member today. Promo code DEBATE for 30% off. We'll be taking questions throughout the broadcast. We'll also be checking in with our own Cabot Phillips, who is as close to debate as they actually allowed reporters to get in the free Democratic Republic of America, where,
It's in the next room. Right?
Yeah. One room over. You're allowed to watch the feed, like the hoi polloi. So we'll be checking in with Cabot and seeing what the temperature's like over there, which is hopefully a bit warmer than the temperature was over on that right hand podium. What does it mean? I mean, we've never seen anything like it. What happens next?
Toast. He's toast. I mean, Biden is toast. It's like he loses. It's like, what can change that would now allow him to recover other than Trump actually having a health crisis? Legitimately.
They could imprison Trump or home imprison.
I think that would secure the victory.
I agree, because now it looks as though they'll do anything in their power to stop Trump from being elected. So he gets imprisoned after this, and it looks like you want this dead guy in there, so you're willing to imprison. Quick final note on the debate that I think is worth noting. This format actually is kind of great.
Right.
And
every debate
and the moderators, fine. They were fine. They did a good job. They did
I-
a good job. They
I
asked some
agree.
left-wing
I thought they did a
questions. They asked some questions
fair
that were
enough
pretty
job.
pointed of Biden.
For it
They
being
gave people room
CNN,
to
yeah.
speak. They didn't feel the necessity to jump in and sort of fact check Trump, but not fact check Biden.
Yeah, but they had to.
Kind of great.
Yeah. Oh,
Kinda
and
great.
all the scrutiny they were under fire already
Hunt
from.
is actually
Absolutely.
one
But
figure in
overall, I
the
thought
process
they
this
did a
debate
good job. I
because-
will give them that.
Look, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash were on that stage too, and they're CNN anchors, but they did a good job and they seemed kind of moderate, whatever. When we watched Romney versus Obama, we would say, oh, Romney won that debate, and the Democrats would say, Obama won that debate. Casey Hunt is not Jake Tapper and Dana Bash playing the moderate in this debate. Casey Hunt is a huge lib. She is like a lib's lib over at all the lib networks, and she's worked for a lot of them. And she is admitting, and every honest leftist in America is admitting
Because
right
you have to at some point. If you don't admit it, you become the buffoon, and they're not going to sell their career
By the way,
for anybody.
Can we just say, this thing's evolved. I mean, it did. I mean, like the first 40 minutes were better, and then it got worse, and then at the very end, it just turned into two old men arguing about their golf game. And
That was the best part.
That was
one
my
of them
favorite
like
part,
drooling
yeah.
into his gruel and nearly dying in his closing statement. But the Trump actually, for the first 40 minutes, was the most disciplined candidate he has been
Yes.
for 10 years. This is
I
the
couldn't
Trump
believe
everybody
it.
was sort of like,
Yeah.
if he could just contain himself, if he could just stop himself. Like, you guys were in the room with me, but for those who couldn't see me, when he gave his original answer on January 6th, I nearly jumped out of my seat because he did the thing he needed to do. They asked him about January 6th, and he said, on January 6th, inflation was low. On January 6th, we didn't have massive crime and massive illegal immigration. The Middle East wasn't on fire. Ukraine hadn't been invaded. That's what was happening on January 6th. That is such a phenomenal misdirect. It's such a great reshifting of the actual answer. And then, they followed up, and he said some stuff about January 6th. But he did that a couple of times. They asked him about retribution, and he said, my best retribution is success. That's a great answer, right? This is a contained Trump. This is the first time, honest to God, I think we may be in the only cycle where Trump either thinks he's going to win or thinks it is possible that he could lose. So in 2016, I think that for nearly the entire cycle, he thought he was going to lose. And so it was like, let it all hang out, man. Just let your freak flag fly and go for it. And then in 2020, I think he felt like, you know what? There's no way I can possibly lose to this
IHS
guy.
Undertaker, how you
And
doing,
then
man?
he
Welcome
didn't.
to the
And
program.
this time, he's looking at the polls and he realizes, if I show like one iota of discipline, I will be president again. And if I win again, that makes me one of the most historic presidents in the history of the United States. I mean, it's an unbelievable thing.
And you know what?
Being president, lose and come back is crazy.
The other thing about Trump that I've been saying for years, and no one will believe this, but it's true, is he learns stuff.
He does.
More than other people his age, and more than most politicians. He changed,
He
Jimmy
responds
Carter-
to incentive structures.
What's that?
He responds to incentive structures.
Yes. Well, that's unfair. I think that's
a form of learning.
Actually, no. I think he actually learns how to do stuff. Look, the guy is an amazingly successful man. This is a guy who has been on the top of the real estate business in New York, very tough. Top of TV, very tough. Won the presidency on his first time out, very tough. This is a guy who knows how to do things. And I'm sorry, there are times when I don't like him. There are times when he acts in ways that I wish he wouldn't. But you have to respect the guy. He does know what he's doing. And he saw, the one thing that they say happens to every president is when he comes into office, he finds out things are actually as bad as he said he said they were, and it's always a shock. And I think the thing about Trump is he kept saying the government is corrupt. I don't think he knew how bad it was until the RNC turned against him, until he was littered with people trying to overturn and block his presidency. Now he knows, and he does not forget this stuff, and he incorporates it in what he does. And I think to talk about him like he's some kind of animal responding to incentives is not right. This is a smart man.
Excuse me. Sorry. Wrong pipe. I'm good. I'll live.
That is a form of learning, because for a long time he couldn't. For a long time it was like, okay, I'm just going to say the thing that I want to say when I feel like saying it.
Basically.
And
Because it
here-
worked, and he's
and so he realizes, and his entire team was telling him, everyone was telling him, if you hem it in, you're going to win. And he paid attention, and then he did it.
Well, there is this other thing you have to remember, which is that he didn't think he didn't run in 2016 to win. He didn't think he was going to win. He, of course, ran in 2020 to win and thought he was going to win. That's a completely different. He's running in 2024 knowing that he has to win. Because they have arrayed the entire justice system.
Yeah, I couldn't
against him,
believe
and
how
should he
well
not be
disciplined he was
victorious
tonight.
In November, there's a very good chance that the guy spends it.
He's pulling his cock out! Okay,
They'll
not
banish
that
him to St.
disciplined,
Paul.
but
I mean,
wow.
and he's been president, and
But-
this is why
again,
the
just
points
like
we're all hitting on,
CNN.
You know, this answer was really good, and this was the perfect answer. One answer.
If you didn't, you're screwed. Type of thing, right?
I'm
So.
so elated that Trump gave it was on foreign policy, and the world will be set on fire if Trump wins. And Trump can say, look, you keep putting all this Putin, Russia nonsense on me. Well, when Bush was president, Putin took land. When Obama was president, Putin took land. When Biden was president, Putin took land. I'm the only president of the last 20 years that Putin hasn't taken more land under. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting. The fact that this man was president, we can compare just 3 years ago how things were. That is an amazing and undeniable fact.
His answers on abortion, I thought also. Obviously, I don't agree with the stuff about giving to the states, but he did pivot back to the Democrats' extremism on abortion.
Yes.
Which is exactly what he
good.
should be doing.
Yep.
I think we even saw in this debate where he started, it's exactly like January 6th moment. He gave the great answer, then they came back to him, and he started getting defensive. And then it was shortly after that where he actually said the phrase, which you should never say in a debate, of, I didn't have sex with a porn star. But that's
Debate 101.
right. And that's when he starts getting defensive, and it's like when things get rocky. Goes into the commercial break, comes out, and it seems like he's focused again. And then he gets off on the golf game thing, but that was Trump.
Because then he said, he said, look, the biggest lie you've said tonight, you're six over par, whatever. It's not true. I've seen you swing, but let's not act like children.
Great. So
Close,
again, the only takeaway from this, and apparently CNN is having a full-scale meltdown in real time. So after this show, make sure that you tune in for the live filling of the leftist Sears tumblers from the anchors over at CNN. Apparently, they're talking about like full-scale meltdown inside the Democratic Party at this point, which brings us back to the question: what happens next that you asked earlier, and then I avoided. And so it really is a process question. Is there a process that exists to get rid of this guy? And the answer is no, there's not a process to get rid of this guy. You cannot oust him unless you were to convince an enormous number of delegates who are already pledged by Democrat Party rules to actually vote for him at the convention. How do you do that? The only way that this would happen is somebody gets in Joe Biden's ear and they say to him, you need to step down. Is Joe Biden, I don't see how that works. I don't. Yeah. I think this man I think he's addled so much so that he thinks I can either go out in disgrace or I can go down swinging. But no one achieves the presidency and then walks away. No one. By the way, you can't get 80-year-old men to walk away from companies they've built when the company's collapsing from underneath their feet. Like, so the
can't get them to stop driving.
That guy's a driver's license, by the way. He's driving around a Corvette. Whoa! Watch out on the roads in Wilmington, my friends. I don't see a process for getting rid of him. I think that's wishful thinking. Honestly, the only question I think at this point is, does he actually die before the election? I mean, he looks like death.
I think what Democrats are going to do, because they can't get rid of him, right? They're going to pivot to 2028, and they're going to say, okay, what can we do? Trump's going to win. What can we do while he's in office to undermine him and make him so he can't do anything? Lame duck president. Use the systems we have in place to totally undermine him.
Sorry, Billy was
They're
here
not
talking to
gonna
me.
say that, but I think that's going to be the strategy.
Well, this may be true. You said
So,
there isn't a
anyway,
mechanism
I'll
by which they can force him out.
Go and see if I
That,
can
of course,
turn
is
this
true.
down a little bit
He
from
has
my
to-
stream
he would
deck.
have to step aside. And they have
No,
problems
I got
if
too many
he steps
resources
aside,
going on
because
here.
if he
So,
steps aside,
what did you guys
the
think?
presumptive Democrat nominee is Kamala Harris, and I
Shit
don't
show.
think
All
on one
around.
hand, it's very hard to.
I'm just gonna.
I think they hit it spot on with. There really was no takeaway from it. My brain hurts just from trying to listen to it.
Yeah.
But my question is, could the questions have been better, or were the questions spot on? You know, like it I don't know. I don't know either way. Like how it could have gone better, worse.
I don't personally think that the questions were bad necessarily.
I think they were the hot topics for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they needed to be.
Yep.
It comes down to Trump needs to stay on topic and not revert to the previous topic.
But yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And
excuse me, sorry.
Biden needs to wear glasses or something so he can actually read his damn cue cards.
409 says it didn't matter what the questions were because they jumped off topic every time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
I forgot what question Biden was answering, but you could definitely tell he was fumbling through whatever he memorized.
Oh God, he was so off base.
Oh, what one was that?
I don't know, but that's when I commented on it because I was like, I caught it. And I'm like, holy crap, he's just jumping.
Yeah. Oh, he was like he was like NASCAR and made a big ass left turn. Like,
well, yeah. I mean, like he would do a sentence and all of a sudden he wouldn't even finish the sentence and he'd be onto a different topic. It's like, whoa, what's going on? I don't know.
Helps if I flip the switch.
Yeah. My head hurts.
Yeah, I honestly don't.
Nice.
I definitely agree with the fact that Trump was probably the most reined in that we've seen Trump.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just got wheel slip for the first time ever.
Nice.
Wait, or is that? Oh, it's freaking Scrabble stream. Oh my. Never mind. Continue. Continue. Sorry. False alarm.
Fake news.
Fake news.
let me mute his little train game over here. All right, go ahead, caller 8.
Hi, Manny.
I lost what I was going to say now. Darn it. Oh, I agree that I think that is probably the most reined in that we've seen Trump in quite a while. But there again, it comes down to it being a CNN debate where if he wasn't reserved, they would eat him alive.
Yep.
Sure. If not in live, definitely in the post show.
Exactly. I'd be in. I hate to say this about CNN, but I'd actually be kind of curious to see what they were saying.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think anybody reporting on this is it's either going to be attacking or dumbfounded at this point, I think.
Well, the fact that there's so many of the actual liberals that have already come out and said that Biden's done, it is crazy.
Yeah. See, that's why I like watching the guys from Daily Wire, just because, yeah, they tend to lean conservative, but at the same time, in my view, their recount or their description, how they report, they seem to be more fair. They're more level-headed.
Yes. A few of them are. So, a few of them are. I mean, I think you have a collective. You have the far, and then you have the middle.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I think. Let me look at the Ad Fontes chart here again. I can't remember exactly where they fall. If I can get one that I can actually zoom in on.
I'm sure somebody watching how I'm doing yard switching is just screaming right now, but it's okay.
How are you doing it?
My way.
Well, I'm not watching. I only have one screen, so I can't multitask like I normally do. But how you doing it? Can you play by play your stream right now for me?
Everything that was headed towards Bryson or beyond to the west, I have already sent out with my Mikado, my S23 or my 23 Mikado. I am now taking all of the cars for the Whittier sawmill, and I am sorting them appropriately. I've just hooked up my 10-wheeler to a...
Why are we golf announcing this?
I've just hooked up my 10-wheeler to a cut of cars that has a tanker on the end for the Whittier diesel stand here. So I'm going to take this cut of 4 box cars with the tanker on the bottom end and spot it on the diesel stand line. I will then take the box cars and reconnect them to the top side of the flat cars that are on the Yard Trek 3.
So back to the Daily Wire. Yeah, they do lean fairly far to the right. They're actually farther right than Fox, which actually Fox in recent years really is skewed more to the left and more. But
yeah, but you have to look at your ratings too. So it's like you look at, okay, this is what we've normally done, but how do we increase? You know, I think their approach was probably to try and get more middle, but you know.
I suppose I suppose that, you know, yeah, that makes sense.
That's my thought on it. Maybe, I don't know. I have no clue. But I mean, what we just watched was a total waste of time. I reward you no points.
Yeah.
And God have mercy on your soul.
Everyone is dumber for having listened to it.
No double for you. No double for you.
Okay, well,
as
that's
the North Omaha cat lady would say.
Well, that is back.
On other news, how about Farm Sim? Hey,
far...
confirmed ground deformation.
What?
Confirmed. You heard it here probably
75th.
Yeah, something like that.
But
okay.
What type of ground deformation? Are we talking like the ground like actually has imprints for the tires? Are we talking like if I dig my front loader into the ground, I scoop a hole? What are we talking about here?
We will find out Sunday.
Will we?
There's a segment of FarmCon for it.
Is there?
Yes,
So,
that is 100% confirmed. I was watching a show with that Kermit was on, and yeah, that's that segment. It will be on Sunday. With some other things that they're going to show off, the American map and some other things.
Well, la-di freaking da.
That's all I got for you, because that's all I heard. That's all that has been told.
Live from the field, Tyson R. Thanks, Tyson.
Thank you.
Coming back to the studio with you, Farmer Kurt.
If FarmSim has the track record, or continues their track record of completely hot garbage on release, oh boy. I have a feeling that the ground deformation is going to be complete and utter train wreck.
I didn't say it was going to be perfect.
The question is, will it end up being like Agrar Simulator Historical from UIG? Will it be that kind of a mess, or will it actually maybe be an improvement? That might be a long shot for Giants at this point, but
the only thing I can say is when they brought out the tools to terraform, I was like, I never saw that coming. Like that was a Merry Christmas, here you go. And so if it's something like that, it might be something good. I mean, it's obviously it's never going to be MudRunner,
right?
But who wants it that bad?
I was gonna say, I don't think Giants can Giants can barely handle physics as it is.
But you gotta understand too, this release is cutting off the old gen consoles. So there are going to be things in this release that they couldn't do before because of the restrictions of the old gens.
They need to cut off consoles, period.
Well,
I agree,
yeah.
but unfortunately, with the business model, it ain't gonna happen.
Crossplay completely ruined it.
Yeah, well.
I agree with you, Scrabble. For the business model, yeah, they gotta keep it.
Yeah, from the business side of things,
But-
it's the smartest thing they've ever freaking done. It's phenomenal. They've made so much money. From the player side of things, they screwed it up.
Mm-hmm. They are making a step in the right direction, though, with cutting off the older generation consoles, but there's still so many limitations in that regard, though, too.
Yep.
Yep.
And
so,
just looking at the back end side of things with how they freaking have it set up in the XML is just why? Why are we using such antiquated freaking coding?
It's because it's their own engine. I mean,
I suppose, but
that's what I would think.
you can do it so much easier and so much more efficiently with JSON, though.
Passenger service rolling again.
And let me be clear, this isn't coming directly from me. This is coming from people that work with this sort of thing on a daily basis. It would be, it can be done so much easier with different setup, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Sure.
It'll be interesting to see how they do it, I guess.
Yeah, I am very. I mean, I'll be on vacation, but I will be very interested in seeing the highlights of what gets shown off over the weekend.
Yep.
I feel like there's gonna be some good things. I feel like there's gonna be some bad things, and I feel like there's gonna be some stuff we've tried and we have not mastered yet.
Mm-hmm.
So
like, one of their biggest things is how they freaking handle multiplayer is still broken. So it'll be interesting to see if they can manage to improve on that. I'm not holding my breath.
I think they're what they call it, where if a object is behind like another object, it doesn't render. I think when they went with that, really helped a lot of things, including multiplayer, because you could run 16x map with all of our mods.
Yeah.
So here's the funny thing, like your bale sheds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You go into the XML, every item in that bale shed is still a separate line item in the XML.
Well, if you didn't, let me think here. I'm trying to think.
There's got to be a way to do that to where that cleans that up, making that a little bit more efficient.
The only way you could do that is if you just, like, so for the shed itself, if you put something in it, you say what it is, and then you do a count. So pallet, bale, what type of bale it is, and then you just put like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever in that category, then it wouldn't be a separate line item. It'd just be like you just create a what is it called?
I know what you're trying to say. Array. An array.
No, it would be...
Or like a database isn't the right word.
There's a word for it, and I just haven't used it in a while.
Because
I can't remember what
encoding
it
it
is.
would be an array.
Well, really, it would be... I'm still trying to think about it. I can't. My mind is just...
I'm trying to think here too, and I'm pulling the Biden.
Wow.
There it is.
Hey, I waited till after the debate was over.
But anyways, instead of being a separate line item and still having it active in the map, you could just be like, all right, it's here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, what did I just do? Sorry. But make it, well,
because the way... So,
okay. I know why they're doing it this way. Because you can put bales of different density in the same barn. So if you have a 4,000 liter and a 2,000 liter, the only way to do that and still maintain those is to have them separate line items. If they are all the same all the time, then you could do what I just said earlier and just be like, okay, it's in the building. I have 20 of these, and then it doesn't become a separate line item until you pull it back out.
But that is the problem. They have a separate line item for regardless. Even if you have all of the same density in there, it's a separate line item. And the game is still loading it that way. I've noticed in one of my recent saves where we had a storage with pallets in it, the storage was getting toward full, and we were actually having frame rate. The frame rate was dropping, even with things in that storage. Until we finally, we cleaned that storage out, and then frame rate improved again. So it will be... I never did look and see, or I never did try the new DLC, the farm, whatever the hell that's called, farm
the production one.
I did try that to see what that does, but
the problem with that is that's third party. It wasn't a Giants release.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay.
No, so whether or not it helped or not, I don't think it would have solved what you're explaining.
Okay. I didn't realize that was third party. I was under the impression that was Giants.
Yeah, that was the third party for this year.
Okay. So we had two of them then.
Well, they release a third party every year. It's
I guess
at least that's what they've typically have done.
I guess they re-released the straw pellet. Or was that last year already?
That was this year.
Well, what I'm talking about is paid. I'm not saying anything that's free.
Yeah. I gotcha. I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
Yep. I hope so, because
it's not Biden's diaper either.
Jesus.
Well, it's deep. It's deep.
How deep is it? Well water.
That whole water.
Stuck back there?
He went from water to. What did he He didn't make a left turn. He did a fucking U-turn
Mm-hmm.
and went back to Albuquerque. That's what he did.
Yeah. Basically.
I mean, I'm sorry, a y'all turn.
Well, it's a southern
Y'all
U-turn.
turn. Wow. Yep. Moses is still in the backyard trying to part the Green Sea. My lawnmower's name is Moses.
Also, dirt bikes confirmed. Or bike.
Thank God.
So, coming from one of my friends who is a big motorcycle freak, they used the wrong sound for that bike.
Yeah, well, that's a third-party generated movie too. So
Yeah, that's true. But still, it's like, what do you say? I gotta scroll back up in the deal.
have you read the whole blog? Because I have not yet.
I haven't. I don't know where that got put. Matter. But it was a 2-stroke bike, and they were using the 4-stroke sound, or vice versa. I don't remember exactly what he'd said.
I mean, I don't know. How critical would you need to get? But I mean,
well, you know, I mean, yeah. I mean, that really at that point is nitpicking, but
we'll see what that.
This is how many iterations now?
Yeah, but we'll see what the actual model sounds like.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure when they show off the American map, they'll be riding around on that thing.
I would imagine so.
I think that's gonna be the tour vehicle.
I guess I'm gonna try to keep an open mind about it, but at this point, I'm not pre-ordering it.
I'm going to, but I'm gonna do what I've always done and wait until like October when I've seen what we're getting and everything. But the only reason I'm saying I'm going to is so I can get the MacDon stuff.
Yeah, they usually end up releasing that later on anyway.
I know, but it doesn't hurt me pre-ordering. I think I save. What don't you save like a couple dollars? I can't remember.
Sure. I don't know.
Well, that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying it right now. I would. I mean, it doesn't matter if I do it later or now, but that pre-order is 100% open until the day before the release. So
right.
I also one of the screenshots showed a grain system with the the elevators and chutes, and I have a feeling based off of what I heard, right? There's a building mode with adjacent something. I think that when you build things, you can attach things, adjacent things. Like you put 2 grain bins together and a grain leg, then you can say, "Hey, this is associated with that," and they're one.
That would be really cool.
I'm hoping for that. Honestly, I'm not gonna get my hopes up, but still, I think based off of what they said, that sounds about right. Where they're gonna have, things that attach adjacent. So, but it could be the pumps and hoses thing too, because that's how that works. You know how you put down one thing and then you link the different buildings together.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that technology will help us with the grain systems too.
I guess
so.
Time will tell here.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if that's a topic for next week or not. That was not confirmed.
If that's the case, they'll probably hold that one pretty close to the vest.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. We'll see. I mean, there's gonna be some things that we're gonna be like, oh.
Yo, excuse me, I need to ban a member of the community.
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
He played the the bugle.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I wondered when you were gonna react to that, because I had to. I mean, would you rather have that or dad jokes? I have a deck of dad joke cards.
All these log cars are just split apart across the siding here, so. Well, at least they're all in the go zone now, except this one. Almost there. You know, it would have been easier just to spot them down here with the locomotive, but nah, screw it. Let's just break them apart and then shove them manually. Because that makes more sense. I must have a switch thrown or something. Oh, yard, road. Send it. There we go. Alrighty. Follow. Okay. So how are we gonna do this now? So let's drop that. Let's go here. Let's go 5 cars forward. Let's reverse. 20 cars back. I want to at least get Whittier spotted tonight. If I could get Whittier spotted, I'd be happy.
You'd be a little bit wittier.
Ah. I ran my 10-wheeler, or no, not my 10-wheeler, my 16 mogul around my passenger service. Reconnect to my passenger service.
Will his...
Hey. Yard, road, forward.
There
Full
we
beans.
go. Noise gate was just a little bit too high. What I was gonna say is, will his passengers get whiplash?
Nope, but they got a green light all the way through, all the way up to Bryson. By God.
Nice.
I'm liking running CTC mode at the same time. I have to think, and I like it.
That's not dangerous at all.
It hurts, but I like it. It hurts so good.
Okay, John Mellencamp. Damn it, now I've got that song stuck in my head. To be fair, it doesn't take much, but still.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Can't remember how many cars I can fit down here in this stretch of siding. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. I'll just leave them in the siding. I'll come up here, I'll pull out all the empties, and then I'll spot the loaded.
It depends on the length of the car.
Yeah.
I think like 6.
Get fucked.
Oh, bite me. Yeah, I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to put a browser window over top of the other deal, so thank you for that.
Hey, no worries.
I just remember the old the old Streamlabs days when I could just throw up a window up there, drag it and resize it, and call it a day. I do miss that.
Until you get used to it, it can be kind of a pain in the butt. But that's the only well, I used Twitch, whatever the hell that one was called. I used that one for a while, but otherwise OBS is the only one I've ever really used.
Manual reverse. To get this more onto the siding.
And actually, I've more or less switched even from doing stream elements just to straight OBS. Because I run local, I have local files for all my backgrounds and stuff. And then I use Mixitup as my bot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't play as often enough and everything.
Well, yeah, that's just.
I'd like to, but
for you, what you're using is probably the best way to go, because it's simple enough.
Yeah, it's idiot proof for the most part.
I wasn't gonna say it that way.
Yeah, but you were thinking it.
Okay, maybe.
Dick.
Would you expect anything different?
No.
Exactly. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
How dare you?
Well, at least he didn't play the Gook 5000 in response to that.
We were coming back from lunch the other day, and my boss was... Yeah, there it is. My boss was ramping on it pretty good in one of the dualies and the diesel. I looked in the mirror out the window and I'm like, holy shit, did you see that? He goes, what? What happened? I said, Greta Thunberg just popped out of that drainage culvert when you hammered on it.
Not.
Do not come. Do not come.
Got it? Oh. And there it is. Incredible.
I mean, that was the only logical progression there.
Incredible. Millie, what? She's wanting me to go to bed. This is... She comes up and she nudges my arm, and then she sits here and stares at me, and this is her dad come to bed look.
That's what my cat, Rocky, does. Frickin'... As we were doing the closing comments there, he came and jumped up on me at the desk.
Well, now I have a paw on the arm.
Now he's just sitting outside the doorway, staring at me like, hey, dude, when are you gonna come to bed? It's bedtime, dumbass.
And I get to do it again. Hey. Where's your ball? Where's your ball? Where's your ball? Put your paw. Put your paw up here like you just did. Hey. Paw. 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 You see your paw. You see it. And here comes Dakota. Here. You see your paw. 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 Hey. Paw. Oh, come on. Paw. Let me see your paw. Hey. Oh, not you, Dakota. Ow, your claws are sharp. You need to file those.
When are we gonna get a doggy cam?
God. Dakota likes to lick his nuts too much.
I don't have nuts. That's why I talk like this.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So that graphic you posted earlier, was that actually something from Newswire? Or from Daily Wire? That Let's Get Ready to Mumble? Or did you make that?
Oh no, I think that was from Oki, wasn't it?
Oh, that was Oki, yeah.
Yeah, but he had a lot of fun with memes tonight.
Yeah. I just realized that had Daily Wire on it, so I was curious as to whether that was actually Daily Wire's graphic or not.
Was it in general? It was in general, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably was Daily. Yeah, well, yeah, if it said Daily Wire on it, then yeah, it was them. That's great. I like the one of the, where is it? I like the last one that Oki's got in the gifs and memes. Biden team adds a translator to the bait, and it's Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh boy,
that was good. If you listen closely, you can hear Sharon.
Oh God, I hadn't been paying attention to the gifs and memes.
Well, they're quite good.
Oh boy.
Well, she gave up on trying to get me to go to bed. Now she's just playing dead.
What? Oh, that was a filter. I'm like, I hope to God that wasn't his actual face there.
Let me get Whittier switched out. We'll go to bed, okay? Let me get Whittier
She's
switched.
coming back for round 2?
No, now it's Dakota on my left.
Oh.
I hate doing the shift-click shortcut, but it's just easier when I play single player. To drop the coupler and the airlines and everything all at once. Where's my passenger train?
Where he left it?
Making his way over to Bryson. Okay. Yeah, I got some cars for Nantahala over there in Bryson now, so that'll be a new customer to go service next time. We'll see what I got going on tomorrow after work. If it's raining, I might just come play Railroader all night.
There you go.
When do you go on your trip, Tyson? Is it this weekend or next weekend?
That would be tomorrow.
Oh, it's been 2 weeks already? Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, good for you, man.
And apparently I get a in-flight meal for a 2.5-hour flight. So
hell yeah. Minimal details because it's just what you and I have been chatting about. But how'd the one thing go?
She said, "Yeah,
attaboy."
Just not this week.
Oh, at least she wasn't like.
Nope, there was no hesitation.
That's nasty.
And then later on, it'd be like,
He's pulling his cock out!
I mean, probably. Probably.
Not.
Hopefully not that quick, but.
And then.
I'm gonna come.
What was that last one? The laugh. Oh, was that Mr. Kurt?
Yeah.
That was me.
Jesus. I thought someone else hit a button.
Does everybody get pocket rockets?
Don't mind me, I'm just special.
So I closed out 2 bars last night.
Attaboy.
Because the second one closed early. I walked in and they're like, "Oh, we're closed, but we like you, so here's your drink." I'm like, okay.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah. So I guess I've made some acquaintances in town, so that's kind of cool.
He was eating good in the neighborhood. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Sorry, I just get excited sometimes when my choo-choos.
As I'm bobbing my head along to the...
All right, let's lash these cars up. Release that handbrake. Take her forward.
Oh, hi, Mr. Rocky. Is it bedtime?
Close enough.
Can you believe it? The Florida Panthers finally won.
Go sports puck.
Dang Canadians. They can outsmart us. They just got beat by a team that plays in a town that never gets snow.
Never thought I'd say it, but it's a bunch of white dudes chasing around a black hunk of rubber in the middle of summertime. Absolutely incredible.
How dare you!
Well, somebody had to say it.
We need an ooh yikes.
Well,
sound effect.
Wait, how about
That's nasty.
That works.
Or wait, hang on.
I'm in danger!
No, that's close.
You jackass!
Lol.
Welcome to Friday Night Farming.
Nope, that's not it.
Sync warning.
Nope. Closer.
Huh?
Exactly.
What is this one?
Does everybody have pocket rockets?
Nope.
Wow.
Hey, Pally boy.
I forgot about that one.
Excuse me. Squeeze it.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm cheap. What can I say? Well, you know, you'll have better.
Well, I suppose before the cat starts screaming, I'm gonna get off and go to bed. Because otherwise he will start screaming at me.
There's a joke there, but still a family channel somewhat, so I won't.
That's what she said?
Yeah, I'm probably not too far behind you. I think I might actually just cut the stream and just finish up switching offline.
Damn. Well, the debate was...
I enjoyed doing this again. We did it for the State of the Union a few years ago.
Yep.
And it seemed to be pretty popular. We had some traffic come through here for this one tonight, and I'll definitely do it again in the future, I believe. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. It's definitely worth doing again, I think.
Oh, yeah. You know, and if people don't want to tune in, that's fine. Politics suck, and I get that. But at least we can try to have some fun with it.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice to have a little bit of a discussion about it, too, so...
Mm-hmm.
I'm just disappointed that we didn't have more of a discussion, but I don't know what else you say based off of what you just saw. I mean, like...
It's hard because I wanted us, for the most part, to listen so we could hear what was going on and not talk over everything. Granted, we did at some points, myself included, not a big deal. But I wanted to be able to hear what was going on so we could accurately respond to it and talk about it. So,
sure. There are some items I couldn't just hold my tongue. It was just like, wait, what?
Same. I get it. I've dropped the empty cut of cars from Whittier Sawmill at the East Whittier interchange. I've now backed off of them to the east, and I'm progressing forward back west to hook onto the loaded cut of cars, or the new cut of cars that needs spotted, rather, and loaded at Whittier Sawmill for outbound production products.
Mr. Streamer?
Yes, Mr. Viewer, go ahead.
Can you please explain what you're doing?
I just did. It sounds like you need to open your fucking ears and pay attention.
This has been Smooth Jazz.
And
Rail yard switching with
I want to say the amount of times I mentioned that topic in my streams, I think I pissed those two people off because they never commented again.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, come on,
they'll get over it.
What do you want me to do? I'm sitting here for like 6 hours playing a game. Like,
right?
How much talking do you really want me to do?
Right.
Exactly.
Well, it's like when I get back on, maybe I'll do that, a few episodes of that tomorrow. Get some ATS content recorded and get that back out on YouTube. But like for those, I just, and I'll try to do them sometimes here and there. I'll be in Discord, but I'm not gonna be in voice. I'm just gonna, here it is. You want to watch live? Otherwise, you can see it when it comes out on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. I'm hopping off. We'll catch you later.
Yeah, same. I'll stay in Tyson. I'll stay up here with you for a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream. So, for anybody who might watch this back, I'll try to download it from Twitch because I forgot to start recording it. But I'll try to download it from Twitch and get it out on YouTube. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Hope you enjoyed, and